Hello and welcome to the East Lampeter Township Public Meeting. All participants are now informed that this meeting is being recorded. This meeting is also being offered virtually utilizing Zoom, which is a cloud-based platform for remote video and audio conferencing. The Zoom application is free to the public. The general public is therefore able to join the meeting by connection through the internet or by calling in by phone. The public is also able to observe the meeting on the Township's YouTube channel. Please continue to check the Township website calendar for any updates related to these public meetings. Agendas for these public meetings will also be available on the Township's website. Please be reminded that this meeting is being video and audio recorded and will be posted to the Township's YouTube channel for viewing. The meeting will now proceed with the chairman calling the meeting to order and identifying all other members present in the meeting room and those joining the meeting via Zoom. The chairman will then confirm those members joining by Zoom can be heard.
Good evening and welcome to the Monday, June 5th, 2023 meeting of the East Lampeter Township Board of Supervisors. All members of the board are joining me in the room this evening, along with staff. There are no members of the supervisors coming in remotely this evening. There are agendas at the back of the room. There's also a log, if you would please sign your name for the public record. We'll have that in the minutes. Okay, if you'd please rise and join me in saying the pledge of the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Great to hear the voices.
Yeah. Okay, item number 3 on our agenda is public comment for non-agenda items. So if you're here for an agenda item and you're on the agenda tonight, there's no need to come before us now. We'll get to you in that meeting. Anyone wanting to address the Board of Supervisors for public comment? I know we're coming in the there's no questions. All right. Okay. All right, moving on. Item number 4 is our consent agenda. 4A is approval of the June 5th, 2023 Board of Supervisors meeting agenda for this evening. 4B is approval of the minutes of the Monday, May 8th, 2023 regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors. And 4C is approval to pay invoices from all of our funds for a total of $814,872.65. And there are several items of note. $11,705 to Whitmer Fire Company for vehicle insurance reimbursement. We have 4 fire companies in the township. $12,773.13 to Jerry Martin Repair for planned rehab of a backhoe. $21,214.52 to Atlantic Tactical Incorporated for police uniforms. $41,368.75 to McMahon Associates for engineering design and permitting in reference to our Lincoln Highway Streetscape project. $80,122.24 to Deere & Company for a new John Deere tractor. $140,264 to Tiger Mowers LLC for a mow deck, flail, and plow kit attachments for the new John Deere tractor. And $201,852.14 to the city of Lancaster for our first quarter sanitary sewer treatment charges. Okay, what's your interest, John?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
A motion by Corey, second by Ethan. Questions? Hearing none, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Okay, item number 5, the most important item of this night, is recognition of Girl Scout Troop number 70122 for the Paint the Plow project. Wow. Go ahead, Ralph. You want to introduce that?
Sure. Yeah, we were happy to cooperate and work together with the troop and our public works folks to have them paint the plow. I think they may have seen that this was done with the school and thought it was a good idea. So I'm sorry, I don't know all the names. So if one of you could share information about yourself. That'd be great.
Snowman.
Bring it to Snowman.
Sophia helped with all of our snowflakes, and they all kind of secretly signed their names also.
Oh, that's
Mine is a secret. Stand up. And this is Ava, another marvelous help this project.
Awesome.
Dell, I'm the leader of the local Girl Scout troop, Brownies and Juniors. So our troop is third, fifth graders, second to fourth graders.
CB School District.
Yeah. Either attend Fritz or Smoketown.
Great. And how many girls do you have who participate in the troop?
We have 11 in the troop this year, but we're hoping to have some more. We kind of lost a big group. But we're trying to build back up in the community, and hopefully doing stuff like this will help.
That's great. Group. Well, maybe that will appear in one of the future newsletters. Maybe we can.
It was posted on Facebook and it's out in the front parking lot for everyone to go see.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you. Is this our third plow that got painted? Yeah, third plow that got painted. So we had two back in the fall of last year.
Yeah, but I don't think they actually got used. Getting your snow blower ready to go, like you put it up front and then it doesn't snow. This is actually a good thing.
Well, thank you, ladies, very much. We appreciate the work. We appreciate the service to the community. And you are certainly welcome to stay around for the rest of the items if you'd like to, or you don't.
We're going to be, but thank you very much for having.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Okay, item number 6 is old business. 6A, a request for release of financial security for the sewer component only for 141 North Bronx Road, 2850 Harvest Drive. Anyone here for this? Okay. So let me get to that. Sorry. So we are looking at recommended reduction in the amount of $41,674. That would leave a balance of 0. This is strictly for the sewer component only, correct? Okay. All right. What's your interest, guys?
Make a motion to release all the financial security for the sewer portion of the 141 North Bronx Road, 2850 Harvest Drive, the project pursuant to the recommendation of the authority engineer. The result should be 0.
A motion by Mike. I'll give it to Ethan there, Roger. Motion by Mike, second by Ethan. Questions? Hearing none, those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. 6B, a request for reduction of financial security, 148 North Bronx Road. Looks like the township engineer review recommending $4,587.85, coming off the total of $12,934.65, leaving a remaining balance of $8,346.80. Several notes to the property owner, 6 items on this letter as well. Anyone here for this? Okay. All right. What's your interest?
Plan number SR 2045 148 North Bronx Road. To reduce the remaining balance to $8,346.80.
Okay, second by Corey. Okay, motion by Roger, second by Corey. Questions? Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Item number 6B, a request for release of financial security, 670 Hartman Station Road. Township engineer letter says current account balance $2,310. Recommended reduction or release is for that full balance with no balance remaining. Interest.
For release for 679 Hartman Station Road.
A Okay, motion by Corey, second by Ethan. Questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 6D, a request for time extension to record a conditionally approved plan. That's for 2599 Old Philadelphia Pike, the Stoidler Land Development Plan. Looks like they're requesting an extension going out to August 21 of 2023. Ralph, how many of these have we had extensions on this?
This is the fifth such request for this particular project. They still haven't received their PennDOT permit. So,
Is that a major reason why they're asking for the extension? I mean, they're waiting on.
yeah, they can't record the plan without having the permit, so.
Anything we can do, local government, to assist on that?
We can make a phone call if, I'm not sure that would help, but, we can do that.
Five extensions, I feel like they're probably approaching frustration, but whatever we can do, so, okay. All right, what's your pleasure? This one. Sorry, anyone here for the Stoidler? Thank you, Corey, appreciate it. Okay, yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the time extension for the record conditional approved plan 2599 Philadelphia Pike development to August 21st, 2023. Sorry.
Motion by Corey, second by Ethan. Questions? Hearing none, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Carries. Thank you. 6E, a request for time extension in reference to the delayed frontage improvements and the stormwater management plan, 2060 Old Philadelphia Pike. This is for Treehouse Foods. Is anyone here on behalf of Treehouse Foods? Yep. Want to step up? State your name, Riley, if you would.
Yeah, I'm Riley Notzel with Marley Snyder. I will be Joel Skinner from Treehouse. Just wanted to show up this evening to kind of give you an overview of what's being requested. This relates to Treehouse had a new wastewater treatment plant at its location on 2060 Old Philadelphia, like right down the road here. And as part of that, there was an agreement with the development plan being recorded that there would be delayed roadway improvements along Oakview, Laurel Oak, and Old Philadelphia, as well as putting in sidewalk and related improvements along the frontage. The agreement was that a stormwater management plan for those improvements would be submitted within 1 year. That date is coming up tomorrow, actually, for submission of the plan. So we're respectfully asking for a 90-day extension just to get the plan kind of finally engineered and submitted. This is also going to involve some HOP work. So there may be some additional time needed, but we think 90 days should be sufficient.
Is specific on the holdup?
I think it's a combination. I think the company has to go through a lot of internal budgeting and approvals. It's a larger, organization. So trying to get it on their, capital budgeting for this year took some time. Also, with delays of engaging surveyors, engineers to kind of put that together, and their backlog with that is sort of part of the reason why.
As you can be very slow at approving plans. All right, thank you. I appreciate it. Questions for the applicant? Yeah, sorry. Yes, Rob.
Understanding that there might be delays to deal with, but you're not asking for extensions of the other dates, which construction to start June of next year and complete by June.
Yeah, so there is a schedule outlined. This only relates to submission of the actual plan. We still believe that the other timeline is over.
Okay. Good. No.
Is it worthwhile to have that to protect ourselves, or?
Yeah, so the only extension would be just the extension to submit the plan. The other dates required in the agreement would remain the same.
Questions? Further questions, concern, Robbie? Anything else for us? Okay. All right. What's your pleasure, gentlemen?
Make a motion to approve the time extension regarding the deferred frontage improvement stormwater management plan for 2060 Old Philadelphia Pike Treehouse Woods project. Approving an additional 90 days, which would be to September 10th, 2023, with the understanding that the scheduled dates for to commence construction could be June 10th, 24, and a substantial completion of the construction by June 10th, 25 remain as established.
Second. Motion by Mike, second by Roger. Okay, understand the motion? Good. Questions, concerns? Okay. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? And the motion carries. Thank you. 6F, a request for time extension to record a conditionally approved plan, 458 Mount Sydney Road, PG Stoltzfus subdivision. Anyone here on behalf of PG? Okay. Are we now referring to that?
Yes, they started calling it the Rainbow Farm.
I was, yeah, yesterday afternoon, I'm reading through all my stuff and I went, where is EG? I'm seeing a Larambo Farm. Okay. All right. So I'm assuming that it's the same individuals that are correct. Okay. All right. So request for time extension. Looks like the applicant is requesting that we look for we asked that they were asked that we approve a 6-month time extension for them to record the plans until December 18th. Interest?
For the time extension for, I guess I should say what's on the agenda or on the. Okay, so 458 Mount City Road, final subdivision lot add-on plan for Larambo Farms to December 18th, 2023.
Second, motion by Corey, second by Ethan. Questions? Hearing none, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Last thing under old business is 6G, a request for reduction of financial security, 2246 Lincoln Highway East. Looks like Township Engineer is taking the $11,506 current balance, taking it down by $11,066, leaving a remaining balance of $440. Just a couple of notes here on the Township Engineer letter. Anyone here on behalf of 2246 Lincoln Highway East? All right. Pleasure.
Motion to approve the reduction on land development plan 2246, the remaining balance $440. Sure, they come into compliance with the comments remaining with that $440.
By Roger, is there a second? Second by Mike.
What's the common name of this property? Which property is this? 2246. Oh, okay. No other question.
Other questions? Concerns? Okay, motion at the table. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on. New business 7A, Stoltzfus subdivision lot add-on plan number 23-01, 324 Willow Road. Is there someone here on behalf of this? The applicant? Yes, sir. Step up and we got a great new microphone system. Yeah, the whole new thing is just picking up your voice. I think I'm, come on, you got it. State your name.
Tim Grosso, surveying, representing Daniel Stoltzfus. You need to see these plans, or are you okay?
We're gonna come up there, but just put them through. Yeah, sometimes we.
It's a little bit here for you. This is a very. It's a very simple lot add-on plan that is going to get a little complicated, but it started out simple. Daniel Stoltzfus owns a tract of land on Willow Road. It's about 1.5 acres. Daniel is purchasing 0.5 acre from his neighbor, Daniel King. So it's a straightforward lot add-on plan.
In the discussion with township staff, Daniel Stoltzfus, or Daniel King, has a nice creek that runs through his property. And one of the things that the township would like us to do would be to keep that creek in a buffer. I've done a lot of research on the planting. I've gotten information from the Lancaster County Conservation District. I even have a group that will help plant the trees. So at this point in time, we have put an easement around the creek. And you can see the flood, you can see the easement that runs through his creek, and right here's the half an acre. There are 3 deferrals that we're asking for on top of the lot add-on. One being sidewalks along Willow Road, one being curb along Willow Road, and one the improvement of Willow Road. Since there's none of that there currently, if at some point in time the township decides they want to do something with that, at least this Mr. Stoltzfus knows it. We will be working a project for Mr. King next, once this is done. I'm assuming we will be asking for the same things at that point in time, but we'll worry about that when that time comes. The last DMA review letter that we have is clean. I have sent Scott. Is that the May 9?
It is the main point. We have created legal descriptions for the lots. Scott has seen those. We will get the legal descriptions and the easement agreement together at the same time with whatever attorney, either your solicitor would want to come. I think your solicitor probably wants to come up with the easement agreement or the buffer. But we're willing to send out the information for that to whoever that may be. And so at this point in time, we're just asking for the approval of the lot add-on plan and the 3 deferrals of sidewalk, curb, and street improvements.
Okay. Happy to see the riparian buffer vision was able to come to an agreement.
I was skeptical at first. And then I had a change of heart. If you don't know of them, they're Clean Water Partners. You should know of them because I believe EMA is one of their advisors. And I actually applied for a position at their place. So I'm now more than happy to do that. So it is a very good idea. At first, I was a little skeptical because it was only a half an acre and but now I'm all for it.
Here.
You're saying all the right things.
I'm trying to right now. So last time I was here, I didn't say the right things.
No, it's the general public and even, individual property owners don't always get the full 30,000 foot view of the township and our watershed, that we do. And every opportunity we have to work with property owners on these kind of plans, that we can make investments in the riparian buffer, in the quality of the streams, in the quality of the watershed. It's a win-win for everybody.
I really like planting the trees, planting the shrubs, having a one spot that you can cross absolutely is going to lower a lot of the nitrate and phosphorus just because the cow's not standing in the creek. So these are great ideas. Like I said, Conservation District has given me a list of trees. I sent Tara what I think might be a pretty close quote for what trees will cost and things like that. So we're ready to get on this when this is.
It's going to help plant.
If you haven't heard of it,
Have you heard of Lancaster Young Professionals?
Yeah, LYP.
LYP. I was one of the members back.
When you were young.
A bunch of years ago. Bunch of years ago, I was a part of that group.
I think, road cleanup one time.
I'm sure I was. I was back in like 90. But I've talked to their community liaison at LYP, and he's already said they're more than happy to do that. The guy at LCCD said that he will come out and help, and so there's plenty of help that's going to be involved.
Perfect. Very good. Very good.
Yeah, just to fill out that picture a little more, the property owner will get a reduction in their stormwater fees. The township will get some MS4 crediting from.
That's why and when Daniel King's project comes around, this will no longer be proposed. It will be an existing buffer easement, which will help with his stormwater, because I think he's gonna add a greenhouse or something.
Very good. I've been waiting for us all, so. Okay, staff, any further comments? Okay, gentlemen, so we've got the township engineer letter of May 9th. Applicant has seen it. Item number 1, 2, and 3, you can see under waivers and modifications, deferrals. Township engineer is recommending that the deferral request be granted for road improvements, for sidewalks, for curbing. Tim, just so you know, we have a lot of these, that come before us, and between staff and the board, we look for these to put in infrastructure that makes sense, surrounding infrastructures in place, or maybe we're kicking off something. In this kind of situation, it makes sense. There's none of this is there, for all intents and purposes, an ag area, but it is butting up the business park.
At some point in time, you may want to.
At some point in time, a number of years ago, we started calling some of these deferrals that have been in place for quite some time because other development happened around them, and suddenly it started to connect some things. The township engineer's recommendations for granting those, in my estimation, the board will have to vote, but it does make sense. Thank you. Okay. So what's your interest, gentlemen?
Question, on the county planning's letter, they had a comment number 2, to put the on well and septic systems.
Here's your existing well. There's your approximate drain field. And he may be using a commercial holding tank. No, it's a sewer lateral.
There's sewer, is there sewer there?
It's public, yeah.
Where were your offices?
Used to be a 316.
Okay. Thank you. Good question. Further questions? Anyone? Okay, what's your pleasure?
Motion to approve Soul Smith subdivision lot add-on plan number 23-01, 324 Willow Road. Additioned on the township engineer's letter.
May 9th.
Dated May 9th, granting deferral for under waivers, modifications, deferrals, granting number 1 and number 2 for curbing, and number 3 for sidewalks, and then also conditioned on the rest of the township engineers letter.
Second. Okay, motion by Ethan, second by Mike. Tim, here from Tim. Answer question for the motion. Okay, hearing none, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Staff. Thank you. Okay, item number 7B, it's King subdivision lot add-on plan number 23-04, 2303 Lehman Road. Here on behalf of. Don't reach your. I'm getting there, I'm sorry. No, take time, take time. Good job. You're good. Gotta get his.
Good evening, I'm Ron Hershey Surveying. That one, it's a So, property 2303 Lagan Road, the property. So it's here, it's a property, so the case here. There are two lots, it's about 3 acres right here. He's looking to add a portion to the farm, there's some matter there and whatnot that he'd like to keep his farm. Price of milk as it is, he'd like to gain a little capital, get some debt reduction, so rather than selling everything, keep the family farm. So property that will be added on the green portion. Back here, we then have a lot, 155, 435 on acre. Butting up against another existing residential lot here, so trying to keep what we can here in the farm. So we do have a letter from DMA March 31st as a second review. The outstanding items on there, waiver for plan scale, again, just based on the size of the lot. Two would be, and number 3 are items that I'd like to further detail. We are requesting a waiver of street improvements and curbing. Now, my understanding based on the applicant, a consultant's DMA's letter is that we could be looking at new lot remaining. Did a little numbers for you, just so you know, it'd be about $50,000 for improvements in front of this lot. It would be about $140,000 for improvements along here. I understand that the likelihood is fairly low. We're not close to anything that's even remotely developed. I get it. But that would still be hanging out over both the farm and the individual property. For the cost of the lot and the price of the improvements, I think it's disproportionate to what we're doing. It's kind of the point we're trying to see if you guys can talk about it a little bit and see what your position is.
Thank you, Ron, yeah.
Be a third. Start with.
Yeah, so at this point, gentlemen, under the DMA letter of March 31, waivers, modifications, and deferrals, what the applicant is referencing is item number 2 and 3, Ron, is that what you did there? And I think you could suck in 3 there. Oh, sorry. Yeah, 2 and 3, sorry, 2 and 3. Those items are obviously road improvements and then the curbs.
Correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding of reading this letter basically refers to the section of the ordinance that's really just subdivision, which I get, creating a new lot. And for the municipal planning code, yes, this is a subdivision, but in this particular instance, merely reconfiguring a lot. And I would also understand the way he writes it, that it would be the entire frontage there. The planning commission, I think, had a little bit of confusion, but they kind of deferred to you guys as far as.
Sure. I think you've probably heard someone, I was just saying that the previous applicant from, we get these all the time. In particular in a rural setting like that or an ag setting. Currently there's no development around it. We certainly are
Not within miles, yeah.
planning for it unless Strasburg Township is planning for something. So the intention of deferring as opposed to just completely granting waivers and we don't have the opportunity at some point should someone come back. Ralph, would you frame it differently than that? The ordinance requires it. It does. We have to request something if they're looking to do that.
He's requesting something. Earl. The only thing that I would add is that probably, as you say, there's nothing urgent about what happened out there, but the additional right of way that's required by the ordinance could be something that could be needed more quickly if there are township improvements to be done to the road related to the curvature or something else, then.
And I'm conceding to the right of way. I get that. I mean, that's something I don't think really has a major financial or usability impact, the applicant, and I'm okay with that. We're saying yes. I mean, there could be some road side shoulders or ditch improvements or cleaning or whatnot that might need to take place. So we call that the olive branch. Those are the.
So you're suggesting that, if the board was so inclined to work with you on item number 2 and 3, granting your waiver request as opposed to deferring, you're saying, you'd work with the township on the right of way.
Exactly. We're showing on the side, the entire potential on Lehman Road as part of the plan of the township. Yeah, that's, I think that makes sense in this area that, you're probably 2 miles, at least from part of the station. So likelihood is low, but that's.
Right. So, gentlemen, questions, staff questions of the applicant. Specifically, applicants looking at items number 2 and 3 under waivers and modifications. Applicant is suggesting that perhaps, contrary to the engineer's recommendations of deferring, he'd like to request the waivers, but he would hold up olive branch, making note, showing a proposed 25-foot right of way on the one side to comply with the requirements of the right of way width. Anything under subdivision?
Yes, I do have a third item.
Go ahead.
So the remaining item on that.
Let the board chew on those.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't.
Yep.
Let me give you some time.
Yep.
The third item, which is under subdivision land development, is the public rec fee for this development. As your ordinance states, it's for a new lot. The argument I guess you could make is it's a newly configured lot, but there are 2 lots there. We're starting with 2, ending with 2. I think Scott kind of said, hey, let's leave it up to you guys to discuss how that works out.
So under subdivision land development, gentlemen, page 2, item number 3, the ordinance, of course, requires a dedication of a minimum of 0.2027 acres, or I guess an equal equal amount financial contribution. The applicant is, for all intents and purposes, keeping the use as is.
Exactly.
It's just
Now, the intention obviously would be to sell this as a residential lot, but you could just as easy sell the 3 acre. So I mean, it's not really a farm, it's just happens to own it. So yeah.
We could just sell the lot now.
We wouldn't need to be here.
just kind of cleaning up.
Exactly. But we're trying to keep as much as we can in farm. Obviously he lives here and like to keep, hey, that's a nice meadow. If I can keep as much as I can for pasture land, I'll keep it and sell as little as possible.
And selling off a parcel for a house only been going on in Lancaster County for about 275 years. So,
Exactly.
okay, thoughts, questions, concerns?
I'm familiar with the property. The nice rut in the road, about the width of a bike tire, but there's plenty of room and no one travels on that road. I've run like that road more times than I can remember, so I have no problem granting the full waivers. I wouldn't want to fight that.
Ethan, with are you making a motion, by the way?
Yeah, I was just, that's my.
So to your comments, would you have a concern if we keep the 25-foot right of way noted so that is allowed? I mean, it's proposed.
Having the right of way is good, and the 25, I mean, we need 50 feet, so we're just getting half of that, 25 feet on the north side of the road. We go to repave it, we'll probably use some of that.
That's 21 years.
Yeah. But I don't think we need to require that or defer it. I think we can just grant the waiver. We're out in the middle of nowhere. We want to keep it the middle of nowhere.
Well, agreed. Corey, Mike, any additional thoughts?
No, no strong opinion on it. I'm actually not familiar with that area right there. I think I've ran or driven down that road, actually, believe it or not.
Don't stay away from it.
Exactly. There's no reason for me to be on there.
There's a good hill coming out of there that gets you on.
Okay, thoughts? Any other questions? Is there a motion, gentlemen? Anything dealing, Ethan, you have you made any comments about the
Fee in lieu.
fee in lieu or?
We need a fee. I mean, if we wanted. I mean, if we make it too expensive, then it is in their best interest to just carve it up and make it a bigger residential lot. So they're trying to keep as much farmland as possible. I agree that that's the objective that we share. So if we can make it easier for them to do that, and we make it too difficult for them to sell the lot.
Okay, maybe you want to frame the motion.
Okay. Make a motion to approve King subdivision lot add-on plan number 23-04, 2303 Layman Road. Issued on the township engineer. There, pull that one up.
March 31.
Dated March 31. Waivers and modifications, granting waiver number 1. Granting waiver number 2 and accepting the 25-foot right of way on the property side. Granting the waiver 3. Finding any dedication or fee.
Okay, motion's on the table. Okay, motion by Ethan, second by Roger. Questions? Concerns? Hearing none, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Okay, item number 7B. Pilot stop storm water management plan number 23-06, 2498 Philadelphia Pike. Is there someone here on behalf of Pike? Yes. Oh, sorry, Ralph, yes.
C.
Start, but I think cross out two. So sorry, item number 7C, a time extension for township review and action issues furniture land development plan number 23-05 is 2217 Lincoln Highway East. Anyone here on behalf of issues? Make that clear. Okay, time extension, looks like. Sorry. Is that July 31st, Mike? Okay, so looking for a 45-day time extension. We do have some activity going on there. Currently looks like some removal and disposal of stuff. So Good.
Are the revision issues, Ralph, are they about removal? What
No,
are they?
they've received review comments from the township engineer and they're working to address those before they present it to the board.
So this land development plan is all we would be talking about, Mike. They can keep moving forward in what they're doing.
Just to know if there was a specific issue that is holding up the revisions, them responding to them.
We're aware of
It
it.
looks like a challenging property. That's why I said.
Yeah. So it looks like a 45-day time extension is what they're looking for, Mike. July 31st. You want to make a motion?
Make a motion, time extension be permitted for review and action issues furniture land development plan number 23-05, 2217 Lincoln Highway East, providing that time extension to July 31st, 2023. Action would be needed at our July 17 meeting. So
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. Motion on the table. Is there a second? Second by Corey. Questions? Hearing none, those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Now, 7D, Filer Stormwater Management Plan 2306, 2498 Old Philadelphia Pike.
Hi, I'm Randy Township Engineering. I have that board, but I also have extra plans, which I can just lay right here and get that.
Read that. Yep.
Mr. Byler owns, if you look here, he owns lots 1 and 2. And he bought them last fall and the township asked him to clean up the debris that was along the easement here for the drainage swale. In the process of doing that, he over disturbed the land and we went over 5,000 square feet. And the township came back and stopped them. And we had to redo everything by the stormwater plan by the ordinance. He also, in the process, he just removed a little bit bituminous area here. It's called area A. He took that out and made it grass so he could put the stone gravel by the house and make a parking path. That was an even swap of impervious area. The part below there, B, is one we're gonna do after we get approval tonight. We're gonna just remove it, make it grass. We're not doing anything there. When we went through the approval process, the 15-foot easement with the new standards of the ordinance no longer was sufficient. We had to go to 20-foot. Stream stats, because it's, even though it's dry most of the time, but stream stats it was recorded for that, and it was just a huge flow that comes down there, 208 cubic feet. So we had widen it to 20-foot wide and redo the swale, and that's what we're here for tonight.
I've seen a pretty hefty amount of water come down there different times.
Well, yeah, it has.
From way west of you.
Well, I mean, it has to overflow because we're removing 3 trees here. You can see them in the thing. And those are 3-foot diameter trees. They're really huge trees. And there's other issues going upstream, but stay away from that. But this is what we're doing. This is what we're here for tonight, just to get this part of the swale approved tonight, that you can finish up.
essentially got ahead of ourselves a little bit. Started on the project. Now it's according to what we need to.
Well, what happened, he was asked to clean out the swell, but he just got a little
Probably overly.
Well, what happened? David's right here, he can explain, but it ended up being a little disturbance. He didn't excavate the swell, but he was down there with a skid loader, cleaning everything out, and then disturbed the whole bottom of it. And the sides, when you turn around with skid loaders, everything, so.
Yeah, any additional widening or disturbing of that swale is going to be a challenge, and that's why we're trying to address it, Mike, at this point. So.
We've been through the conservation, we have approval from them. I did meet all David Miller's comments. The solicitor has the OM agreement and the plans, reviewing them. Scott Haynes came back to this morning. I added 3 things to the escrow and that revised that estimate. I don't know if you guys got notice of that or not.
Did he create a new letter?
He asked me to get back. He did this morning. He said, if I get back, you have it done for your letter for tonight. I don't know. the 3 riprap, the rock filters are already in. He wanted, that money for taking away this extra impervious area, we'll do some through area B. And then for a little bit for amended soils, and we would need it.
I don't have that here. Tell us that, is it? Do you have that? Okay. EMA letter of May 31. Which a couple of notes on this, obviously, 3 related to stormwater management plan, but that's all we had. Probably not an issue for us. Right. You'll let us know. So, gentlemen, DMA letter, May 31. The applicant obviously is now addressing the items that are listed.
As far as I know, I addressed everything for you. Came back, the only thing he had for me this morning was add the 3 items to the escrow account, or escrow estimate.
Good.
So we condition on his letter, it should be all good.
Yeah. Yep. Anything else? No. Okay. Appreciate the applicant going through the process. It's not the end. It's a challenging soil in that community, and it has been for many, many, many years. What's upstream of him, what's up west of him, and could be upstream depending on the rain conditions. That development up above there, they're just things that flow into this, and this can become a torrent. I mean, we've been here, previous boards. This board member used to live across the street, and he had mentioned it many times that it could turn pretty nasty. So, okay, all right. So the board says, gentlemen, your pleasure.
Motion to accept the Weiler Stormwater Management Plan number 23 of 2498. In alignment with the township engineer's May 31st letter, according to the abiding by all the review comments provided in that letter.
Motion by Mike, second by Corey. Questions? Okay, hearing none. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, under 7E, Clark Associates sketch plan number 23-07, 2257 Old Philadelphia Pike. Chris, want to introduce yourself?
Good evening. My name is Chris Minarchik with RGS Associates. I'm here this evening, as you pointed out, for the sketch plan for the Clark project that's known as Calumet Enterprises LLC is the applicant. The purpose of why we're here is to talk about a portion of the property where we're looking at a lot consolidation and development of the tract. The sketch plan that you see before you here this evening was submitted in April, and then we went to the Planning Commission in May. And we're seeking input on the proposed plan really before we move into land development. So we know communication is important. Our goal is to get feedback from you. We've already taken some of the feedback from the Planning Commission, which I'll talk about tonight. I'll briefly give you an update on what we've done since that meeting and since the application was submitted. If I can give some brief background and then move into the proposed layout, and then just touch on stormwater utilities, and then wrap up with next steps and how we see ourselves moving forward. So at any point in time, feel free to ask me a question. I do have representatives of Calumet here this evening if there are questions operationally. With that, just jumping into it, the parcel, the entire tract that makes up the Clark property is about 20 acres. We're talking specifically really about the eastern part of it. We mentioned the lot consolidation here along Old Philadelphia Pike, simply right across the road from where we are right now. Property is zoned light industrial. The address is 2257 Old Philadelphia Pike. There's agricultural land to the north. There's R2 to the east, although it is essentially almost like a commercial operation. And then R2 to the south. On the 4 parcels that we look across the property today, there are existing offices, there is inventory storage, and there was the old school that is directly across the street as well. There are 5 particular access points along Old Philadelphia Pike, one here, 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 and then 2 for the existing parking lot. Drainage for the property is essentially a split. There's an existing stormwater management facility here, if you're familiar with it. And then drainage goes a little bit to the north, where there's another stormwater management facility in the northeast corner. Site served by public sewer and water. So that's a little bit brief background on the properties as they exist today. Going into the proposed concept, and what you see here and up on the screen is we're proposing a 3-story, 36,000 square foot office, about a 70,000 square foot flex warehouse, and then a reuse of the existing school into office, but then also private daycare. So I'll talk a little bit about those. So as far as vehicular circulation goes, we would be reusing this existing driveway here, but we have this early in the state, we have looked at traffic, and we know we want to try to limit how much traffic goes here because of site distance. So the primary access point would be in here. On the original plan that was submitted, there was some feedback from the township engineer as well as the planning commission about the way we had the configuration of this drive. We had it further to the west so we can really swing in that movement. There was a concern about just the way that broke up the parking here, and in order to separate that truck movement from the parking, we basically flipped it. That was suggested by the township engineer and talking with the applicant. We still have that curve. It takes a little bit away from some of the pavement on the side of the building here, but looking at that, we agree. I think it's a better solution. It does isolate that main path into the site a little bit better. Primary access would still be along Old Philadelphia Pike at this main location, and we would retain the other driveways as well. State road, so we know we'll be working with PennDOT if the project progresses. Pedestrian circulation was another thing. On the original plan, we had fewer connections. This plan is updated. One of the things we did, we added a certain perimeter walkway area. Just as we're looking at a big plan here and circulation for those, whether it's a lunch break or just getting across the campus, we wanted to have the perimeter walk. We also introduced some additional walkways here, and we added some walks along here, out from the roadway along the parking lot, and we added some walkways along here as well. And then I believe this is new as well. So much more walking paths and circulation that we've added since we originally met with the planning commission. Parking, that was for discussion as well. We know that we try to limit impervious as much as we can. At the same time, the applicant, I would say they know their business best. And we looked at trying to maximize the number of parking spaces, again, looking big picture for the growth of the property. So when you look at what the township has from a requirement, we will have a surplus in the proposed condition. And I know there's a provision in the ordinance that says you don't want too much. And again, we know that we don't want to build more than we need. But I think it talked about trying to achieve no more than 120% of the requirement. And it was discussed about using the ITE because the township requirements are actually pretty low. So when we looked at the ITE, just for sake of quick analysis, we looked at, when you look at the campus as a whole, when you look at the existing parking spaces, you look at the proposed that are being introduced and the resulting project, we'd be at about 113%. So you have, the requirement would be 343 spaces and 323 for a total of 656. And then we'd be providing the 338 that would remain untouched, plus 413. So 13%, so be within that threshold, looking at the IT as a comparison point. So I did want to share that because that was something that the planning commission did ask us to take a look at. Stormwater management, as you guys know, and you've heard it over and over again, we mimic what's out there today. So we'll look at respecting that high point on the property, directing some drainage to the north. Not much room here and trying to utilize this edge here, particularly against the railroad track. So we looked at probably an area of underground stormwater management. On the north, we would do what we can to modify or upgrade that existing facility. Maybe it's a 4-bay for water quality, but then also have an area for underground retention as well. So being a sketch plan, we haven't really crunched those numbers, but we took just some general areas to understand how big we would need as we're directing that stormwater. Sewer would stay with ELSA and City of Lancaster for sewer and water respectively. And we've actually started that process of getting a letter in to identify the existing allocation of sewer and water to the parcel, and then comparing that to the new program as the first step in going through the sewer module planning process. So that's it in a nutshell in terms of the proposed program. First status and next step. Again, we do have the township engineer review that I can touch on a few things there, as well as the staff review. I mentioned the reconfiguration of the main drive in and how we've altered that. Another question that came up was emergency access around the building. We were saying that there's a buffer that's required on the east side there. We would respect that, and if need be, we could put down like a grass pave or just an open area where there could be fire apparatus access if necessary, but we do certainly have it on both sides, on the north and south. And what I mentioned at the planning commission, being so early in the process, is we don't know the type of building construction exactly and code that can be utilized for this project. And that plays a lot into the type of materials, the fire code, and how you meet that. So we may not need that area over here, but something we're aware of and we'll certainly look at. Traffic was another thing, of course, that came up when we started to look into that. Some very, I'll call it early analysis would show looking at possibly some restriping here for turn lane as well as here. And that all comes down to, again, the final analysis, but it's something we were looking at. One of the other questions that came up was about the existing school being utilized for private daycare. Just wanted to point out that that was an idea that's part of this program as a benefit to the employees for Clark. So this would not be something that's open to the public. So you're not going to see that higher trip generation that you would with a typical daycare. And there's a question about a drop-off area. Again, under a public daycare, say like the U-Grow, I believe they do bus some folks to that location. I'm not certain, but in a case like this is just really the folks who are working on campus. One parking space, child runs into the building, they go park maybe closer to where their office is. Question about what these higher funding. So that's, again, a brief overview of the project. And our objective is to kind of get your feedback tonight. Part of that feedback is with a sketch plan, we try to anticipate what potential waivers we might need. Looking at the plan, we would feel this is a candidate for a preliminary waiver. Essentially, the preliminary and final plan be one and the same. We really just changing the title block. So that's something we anticipate requesting, is again a waiver of that preliminary plan. And then, of course, I mentioned the parking modification for that parking. And the reason for that really is we don't want to shortchange ourselves. We're trying to take a holistic, big plan approach to laying this out, and we just don't want to fall short on parking. And I just trust the guys who own the property and run the business. They foresee a need for this, so that's why we're showing it.
Okay. Is that it? Okay. Thank you, Chris, for covering it as deep as you did. Questions at this time? Gentlemen.
Due to the formal application of the sketch plan, we've had many sketch plans come in front of us over the years that were not formal applications. What's the benefit? Actually, let me ask you, what's the benefit of a formal application?
Well, it's a big investment. They want to know, are you guys okay with this project? And traffic alone could be a substantial investment. So we're just looking for feedback to make sure we're on the right track, that there aren't concerns right out of the gate that, hey, what are you doing? I mean, you know, everybody hears the same thing with every project, stormwater and traffic. We know we have to address that. We just want to make sure that you guys and are okay with it. Not that it's any kind of binding decision tonight, but before you get into the real dollars, like for us to supply a sketch plan to answer the question directly is a fraction of what it would cost to lay this all out, fully a precise CAD drawing, engineer it, do the storm, do this, the new utility design. Particularly if you release the traffic engineers to do their part, substantial investment, and you guys know that, but that's really it. We just want to make sure we all feel good about it. It's also about communication. That was something that the planning commission relayed back to us, is that they appreciate the fact that we are here before you with a schedule. Say, hey, here's what the idea is, versus it just ends up on someone's desk and then they see it the first time as a big thick plan set.
It's the lot coverage of impervious.
Right there. Yeah, we looked at it.
It's not agreed on that.
Literally within here. Yeah, so required 70%, I should say required, maximum is 70%, we're at 69% as drawn. And now I will say to the point, we've talked this through, and one of the things we want to look at is what makes sense here. Maybe some permeable surfaces, whether it's permeable paving for parking spaces, maybe it's permeable walkways, particularly the perimeter. So
Yeah.
those are things we're just.
You stated your parking needs.
Too many parking spaces?
Do you think you've overstated them?
I guess you guys can jump in if you feel like you need to. I mean, we've had a lot of dialogue about it. There have been analysis, spreadsheets, trying to project growth. Is that fair to say? So I think we feel pretty good
We
about
take
it.
a lot of our existing numbers from the existing campus, that's used spaces. And we use that same formula for the amount of square footage, that's in the 3-story building. That's that would be used in the old Locust Grove building and use the exact same percentage. That's where the parking came.
There's also elements where we have a fleet of vehicles that employees will take out during the day to go to job sites and things like that. So there's almost like double vehicles in that sense, because our rental fleet, so to speak, sits on that lot.
With remote working capabilities and trends, do you see that impacting you guys? Do you see that coming on? I'm sure it's there now, but.
We're already living it already. And so we don't see it getting more remote, but we also don't think everyone's going to be in the office 5 days a week. So I think where we're at right now is kind of a status quo that we see moving forward.
Out there, I'm sure it gets some people into the office that drop the kiddo off there. I would hope that
I'm sure anytime I drop their kids off, they should go back home.
Yeah,
We have to go there up on our list.
you should not allow that. Come on, geez.
I'm not in charge of it.
I know. So,
And he's got kids and he's dropping them off and going to the office.
hope that they would park and then walk the child over and go back and forth and cause even more, traffic on the site. But, I'm sure people will do what's easiest for them, but.
That's the point. You probably want to at least have a way to have a drop off that's rolling through, even if you're parking in the other location, even small preschools and daycares that I've taken my kids to. There's lines around the block if it's in a small church.
Have to be able to drop off.
The one I use is they take the kid out of your car seat and shut the door for you and you're gone.
This is light industrial, gentlemen, and that was rezoned in 2021. We've recently talked to not an adjoining, but a very close tract to this, who's looking at also expanding their business as well too, like Shortry. So you can see what's becoming, of the parcel of land between the railroad track and 340. We're continuing to see this is heavy development of that. I'm not saying I'm opposed to it, I'm just pointing it out so that we can all embrace what we're doing here.
We got two businesses to the east that are in residential zones. One of the things that we brought up when we had the meeting with Lancaster Archery, they were also looking for light industrial extension because that's the existing piece. I don't know if you've taken a look at, is there a better zone that would fit your needs, like a village commercial, or some other mixed use type of zone, as opposed to the industrial? Would that be better for the uses you're proposing and are currently have existing on your other parcels?
One question, is that specific to the large building
The whole campus.
as like a rezone?
I mean, if you look at, I mean, are there things in that would benefit you? I mean, a retail store in the back, the restaurant store, which is great place. I bought a good bit of stuff there. But that doesn't sort of naturally fit within an industrial zone. Similar to, so it's one of, I feel like we've been expanding that industrial zone, sort of shoehorning things into, light industrial, when it's, what we're looking at is, 4, 5, 6, 7 businesses that are all doing a mix of warehousing, office space, and retail with traffic, and it's more of a village sort of commercial area. So that's just an observation from the last meeting to this one as well. Down the road, or even now, do we look at a rezone that might give you more flexibility in what you're trying to build right now too?
It's just an interesting thought. When I hear the word village, it comes to mind to me that there's a lot of times a cap on the size of the structure. Kind of think. I think up to 50,000. Based on one of those zones, I forget what their zones called.
Would that apply?
In our village, that's 3,000, yeah.
It's 30. You said 50 in East Hempfield?
That's my recollection. They have a similar type of zoning, they call it CDC, Central Business District, or something. But that's what came to mind, and why I initially would not have thought that type of zone is due to the size of this facility. I think the question came up at the last meeting, what's exactly going to happen in this building? And I think the time it was not really programmed out at this point. Could be, I think, the storage possibly.
It's just, future storage and warehouse, the way to utilize the space. We could not do any more office buildings on the sheer numbers of people to get an apartment or garage, and the cost just got ridiculous. So that's storage.
So Mike, 50,000 East Hempfield, 30,000 our village commercial, just so you Ethan's idea is driven by the mix of uses that are going on, and not just there, but what we're seeing to the east and the west as well too. So, overall, obviously the questions that the community is going to ask us is, how much traffic are we bringing to the site? How many truck trips are in and out of there, the kinds of commercial activities going on and off the campus, being able to accommodate the additional traffic with road frontage improvements. Those are the questions and concerns. Overall, I like where I'm seeing it. I like, once again, we sat here and talked to the neighboring property, and we're very encouraged by seeing, number one, a local business. That has just continued to just generate local taxes, jobs, improvements to property, wealth creation. There's so many things I can keep listing off. So I think we've all been encouraged by what's been going on with neighboring businesses. We need to work with the existing community, the residential to the south. There's things we have to take into consideration, but I don't see anything in the sketch plan right now that's causing me alarm. Anybody else? Corey?
Yeah, no, to echo your points, super excited to see the investment in East Peter Township. I realize you guys are also up in Lidditz area, like you said. And
if you close that, move to East Lampeter anytime I want to.
You guys are the Amazon of East Lampeter, but you treat your employees a lot better. So.
You're the Amazon of Amazon, just.
On the township's behalf, it is a unique property, and that railroad literally is a fence. So there's not going to be drift in back of these properties, and that's why I think we should maximize what we do between that railroad and the north side of Old Philadelphia.
I agree, and to address that, like was mentioned, we went through a number of ideas, concepts, possibilities, like was stated, making more office in this building smaller and rearranging buildings around the site, and challenge we kept coming back to was parking. And just, we, like it was said, we actually had at one point in time explored the idea of a parking garage, but it is ultra expensive. That's why you don't see them like in a downtown urban environment.
The studies, parking lots and things like that, I mean, basically the nation has been redefining how much parking is needed for that. That's what triggered my question. So if you've done the homework, and it sounds like you have, yeah, I'm okay with this sketch plan.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate of not doing more parking than necessary, because I despise when we do that, I call it the Black Friday parking lots. They're empty all the time.
Oh, so it doesn't township.
Yeah. But there's been a good bit of analysis based on current needs, and then again, using that formula to project out what we would need here.
Yep.
So we need to act. Yep.
Yeah, the only conceptual thing that I want to point out, which has been mentioned, is the loss of a couple of ball fields that have been actively used by the community.
So we're gonna have to create a new ball field someplace, Chris. It's good. I appreciate that, Ralph.
It is true. I have a meeting on, I think Saturday or Sunday with a few folks in CV area, parents that are looking to figure out where fields can be in the township. So there's already perception of a shortage of fields. Losing a few more will definitely add to that perception. So.
Do we know what's happening with Smoketown Elementary School?
We do not.
Is there two?
Other than the school district.
So, yeah, there are two fields there. Aren't there?
Yes.
2.5.
Two and a half? How do you get 2.5?
The T-ball. Played them. I mean, coached them.
Understand. Yep. Thank you, Ralph. Good for pointing that out. Okay, I don't hear any major objections to your formal sketch plan. Great strategy. I think this board would say, let's keep moving. Let's keep moving.
I think I should take action.
You should take action.
We should. Okay. Okay. All right. So,
That's for an individual vote too.
we can. Yep. So the DMA letter of May 4th. Chris, you guys have seen that. I think it's on there. You did help us to understand, your perspective on some of those items as well too. The items on there, staff.
So if your action, I would recommend that you just take action conditioned upon the plan that's submitted, the sketch, all zoning requirements, all Staldo requirements, all stormwater requirements.
As a sketch plan.
Okay, yeah. And then, when they come in, they'll ask for whatever waivers and modifications of those as needed.
Okay. All right, is there, what's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion for conditional approval of the Park Associate Sketch Plan 2027 Old Philadelphia Pike, subject to all township ordinance requirements, including zoning, saldo, and stormwater management.
There's Roger. Okay, motion by Corey, second by Roger. Questions, Chris?
Any reason to is that, I mean, I don't know if there's any strong feelings either way. It helps us, the reason I asked the question, it helps us in terms of time. It would obviously double our time to do the plans.
It should come in as a preliminary final plan. It should not require two steps. Unless you were going to phase the development, and you do that up front, But
So now-
staff's view is, this should be one time through.
No need for us to bring that up here or.
It's very typical that that's.
Waiver in there.
Okay, so it's not listed here, so we're gonna need to add that.
Yeah, when they
When
come,
they come in with a land development plan, they should have.
Say.
We're just gonna request it. Okay.
I think we just wanted to make sure there wasn't any like opposition to the idea, because it's a significant step.
I don't hear any opposition to it, so, okay. Motion by Corey, second by Roger. Board questions, concerns? Okay, Roger. Corey. Ethan. Aye. Mike. Abstain. Okay, chair votes aye. Motion passed. Thank you very much, Chris. Thanks, gentlemen, appreciate that. Okay. Moving on. Item number 7F. Request to establish no parking area on Clayton Avenue. Ralph.
Yes, staff received Mr. Baum, I think Mr. Baum is here. And as required by the policy, our Public Works Director forwarded this to the Police Department, that information on rash activity in the area, which there was none. And then passed it on to me. Viewed it, and called Mr. Baum to let him know to be part of the discussion tonight. With respect to my review, my recommendation to the board at this point would be to have us paint lines on Clayton Avenue, which don't exist right now. It's double yellow down the middle and white lines on both sides, with travel lanes of about 10 feet wide. That does leave substantial space in the shoulder area between where those white lines would be and the edge of Cartway. Clayton Avenue in this area is very wide. It's paved probably close to 50 feet of paving there. So I do feel that there is space to accommodate on-street parking in that area. Long term, I think we probably, when it's time to do improvements in that area, as recommended by the Bridgeport plan, I think we need to look at pedestrian facilities on Clayton, which do not exist right now. So that would change the makeup of the paved area. We'd have curbs, we'd have a grass strip, we'd have sidewalks, those sorts of things. And I suspect there would still be space for on-street parking as well. Not there yet, and until we get to the point where we're doing those improvements, that design has to be looked at. Because of the amount of space that will be created as sort of shoulder behind the white lines, there may even be space to create a dedicated bicycle lane. But we haven't really done any design work anywhere to have a dedicated bike lane, so we need some distance to look at whether or not that could work there and whether or not it could be a part of the striping that we do. At a minimum, I think we'd end up, again, in the future, sharrows, if nothing else, on the street to try to accommodate, that mode of transportation as well. So I do think the on-street parking, to an extent, provides a level of protection to Mr. Baum's driveway and those exiting that driveway. But there is enough space for you to travel that area safely with the street parking. The other thing that I would recommend, which doesn't exist right now, is a speed limit on Clayton Avenue. And local road should have a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. And so we'd have to, if the board would like us to pursue that, we'd have to prepare the ordinance, get it advertised, and bring it back to you for action. We could then post it as 25 miles an hour, help slow things down and make it even safer than it is today. But again, Mr. Baum is here, and I'm sure he would like to address the board as well.
Good evening, Mr. Baum. How are you? Good. you can stand up and introduce yourself, or you can sit there and chat as well too. But just please announce who you are and your address.
Gary Long, 12 Nathan Avenue. And our issue is getting out of the driveway. And the one day, which the township was working on Plymouth Road Avenue, and they said that I should come to you guys, try and get that no parking because they seen what was going on. So thing of it is, if they're parked there, I have to come out at least 12 feet before I can see past them. And that puts me almost in the center of the road. One day I was going out until I saw the car. He was coming up pretty fast, like you said, speed limit. And so he swerved over in the other lane. If somebody had been coming down that lane, they would have been head on. I'm just afraid somebody get hit. You know, that's the main thing.
You're aware that a number of years ago, I guess it was previous board, we tried to spur on a new process for dealing with speeding and requests for some traffic calming measures. So we needed to respond to the community and say, okay, here's some ways we'll do this. Here's some steps we'll step through. And we did do that. Staff has done that along with Chief Zerby. Just to take a look at history, what's happening in our, as the police department or public works been involved in issues, and that's what staff had done. So you're aware that staff had stepped through some analysis. And Ralph would just step through for the board's recommendation, things that staff feels they can do and should do in relation to what we have found out so far. So the W yellow lines down the center, the white lines, sounds to me like maybe it will actually push traffic away a bit so that when Mr. Baum is pulling out, he's not in the center of the road. It sounds like that center is going to be a little further away from his house.
I would think so. I think, you know, if we put traffic in that 10-foot wide travel lane, which is in the center of the road where it should be, again, you know, 10-foot, there's another 15 feet probably of space between that, where that white line would be and the beginning of Mr. Baum's driveway is there. And that should be enough space to come out, see the traffic coming, hopefully slower and increase safety.
Some of the problem is there's like a little crest there.
Yeah.
You know, and when they come popping off of 462, we can't see them until they hit that crest.
Yeah.
That's one of the problems.
Yeah.
So are you saying is that a hedge road that's right next to your house? They park next to that?
Yeah. Yeah, just that little edge, 40 feet.
And they're from the tattoo parlor.
I'm sorry, what was that?
They're from the tattoo parlor.
Oh, from the local business that's
The tattoo shop is kind of taking the neighborhood over. And that's why you'll notice a lot of signatures to get something done. You know, all the neighbors are concerned about it.
Sure.
It's just they're Boost Mobile, they're every.
Yeah.
So,
And could be something that as far as zoning hearing would to consider or take up. And
Zoning staff is looking at that issue, yes.
that's great. And so it would be separate than this body, but our zoning staff, you know, maybe looking at some of those items as well, or we could suggest they do that as well too.
yeah.
Thoughts?
You're saying speed limit, going through the process to establish that 25 mile an hour, and then painting is going on this summer.
Yes, we would expect that to happen later this month or early July timeframe.
And it sounds like the issue's known. I mean, you've made it known to some folks, and even in zoning could look at it.
Yeah. And I think that in particular, Mike, is probably in reference to the businesses that are there in the neighborhood, and do they have parking? Do they have enough parking? Are they businesses that are, you know, behaving according to what the zoning allows for? Those kinds of questions. So, are you familiar with the effort that we've been underway for a number of years to deal with the entire Bridgeport community, dealing with the flow of traffic through Bridgeport, pedestrian enhancements, bike enhancements through Bridgeport. Are you familiar with any of that at all?
No.
Oh, okay.
Huh? Yeah, I think Ron was talking to us a little bit about that last year.
So it's on our website. So if you go onto our website and you'll look for the Bridgeport mobility plan. Kara's probably looking like she's pulling it up right now. Under departments, building, zoning, planning, projects. And then you go down, scroll down, and you'll get to the Bridgeport Crossroads Transportation and Land Use Study. We have done a tremendous amount of work with our surrounding communities. So West Lampeter, East Lampeter, Lancaster Township, Lancaster City have all been, I mean, we spent a lot of tax dollars to really study what's going on there and what do we need to do to make improvements to Bridgeport.
Right.
Some pretty significant changes in this plan. Ralph was mentioning obviously the line painting, but things related to some traffic calming, sidewalks. You put those white lines in place, and you may slow down some traffic. I think the rise up off of Lincoln Highway is not something that's going to be something that wouldn't be able to solve that, and maybe never. But there are some things in this plan. You might want to take a look at that. It may be of interest to you. You live right there. But I do think staff is also calling for, I saw somewhere, maybe even some of the speeding issues on some of the adjoining streets in the neighborhood there.
Right. I think if we're going to look at a speed limit there, the other adjoining streets that are right there also don't have a posted speed limit. So it kind of makes sense to make them all happen at the same time.
Plymouth.
Plymouth, we'd want to talk with West Lampeter because that's a shared road. Same thing with Meadowview, same thing with Reese. And then Susan's in there as well. So
West Lampeter already has Plymouth on their section marked at 25.
Oh, they do? Okay, great.
And then it makes sense for us to try and tie into that same. You actively walked through the neighborhood or drove through the neighborhood and got some signatures and got some people involved? Is that
Just from our neighbors.
Yeah,
just your immediate neighbors?
Just
Yeah.
our
yeah, all the immediate neighbors.
Good.
They're always walking out.
Good. It's good. Sounds like it's a good close-knit community. People are actively engaged. It's fantastic. So if you could just share some of the things that you're learning here, some of the things that staff is sharing as well too, trying to get the information back out to the community. And then please keep it coming to us. You can attend our meetings and share with us how are these things working out. Okay.
Yeah. Well, everything was kind of buzzing. They built that extension to the act. Then, like talking about different stuff, just on for probably a year.
They built the extension to, I didn't, oh, two.
When they were doing the extension of that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, but then we're supposed to put a roof or something, like everything just went quiet. So,
That's what they were talking about.
well, there currently is, you can go from 340 over to Pitney.
Yeah.
Through Hack. But some of what we're talking about here may have also been part of what you were tracking with.
Yeah, the different options, remember? Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about that, but then nothing ever happened. I didn't know.
right,
It's still-
that's what I
So it's
said.
still being done.
Yeah.
It's just not.
So let us, proceed forward with some of the items that you put out there. And stay in contact with your neighbors. Please feed some of this back to them, but also if you can come share with us some more information. How's this all working as you get towards the fall? Okay. And we'll keep the dialogue up, see what we can do. Well, look left, right, and left, I'd say that.
The lines will get painted pretty quick. That's going to happen soon.
The lines are gonna happen probably within the month. Okay.
And getting the signs up. We pass them in probably next meeting for the 25 mile per hour. We need 30 days probably.
Yeah, we
Probably
might have to be in the July meeting.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So the stop sign there at Clayton and Plymouth, Nobody stops at it.
Good, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's so many almost accidents there too.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Do you know how many in lines you're gonna put right there beside our arborvitae's? Are you gonna put the full 3 the whole way up to our driveway, or is it just gonna be 2? If it's 2 and up beside our driveway, they put the lines there that they can't park right against us, we can see down a little bit more. If there's 2 cars there, it's not as bad, but when they park the whole way right up against our lane, I have to pull the whole way out. I'm stage 4 cancer. I have cancer in my bone. If they hit me on that side, I'm back to chemo. And everybody told me that's my last chance. That's what scares me. That's what scares me.
Good.
We have,
Just 2 lines? It'd be a lot easier to see out, we can see down. But when they pull their trucks right up against us, I'm in a little eco sport. I can't see jack. I'll stop. I can't see jack shit. I'm just curious if, how many will 2 time?
Basically scared.
Yeah.
That's-
The lines across, if they don't park in that part, it's up to you guys. I'm just stuffing my mouth.
sure, we haven't normally painted anything other than the double yellow down the middle and then the white lines parallel to that.
Oh, you're not- Make them spots on there, but people can move there.
Yes.
We would have to add some sort of no parking restriction in an area that the board would want to restrict parking. So we'd have to adopt an ordinance and post it in order to accomplish that. And that's up to the board.
I think one of the questions that we have goes back to the businesses that are in the neighborhood. We need to see, do they have appropriate parking for their needs? Are we limiting what the businesses can do? We want to make sure we're doing all that we're doing there. We're doing it in a way that is respectful of the businesses and also the residents as well too. So I think we're going to need to address that. I think.
Well, they park across of my driveway anyway. I literally had to go down and ask them to move their car so I can get into my driveway. And then they called the police on me. So then I went like, they asked them to move the cars.
Well, if someone parked in front of your driveway, blocked your driveway.
Yes.
It's called. It's called mostly.
Absolutely. That way you don't have to get involved in it.
Yeah.
I just thought, because the police are busy.
Okay. So let's start with the lines. Painting the double yellow lines, the white lines on the side. Let's narrow the cart path down a bit. Start the process for studying this connecting roads for the speed limit signs. And let's see how this works out first, okay? Go that direction.
You better do it right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Mrs. Ball? Okay. You only introduced himself, so I thank you both very much for coming.
I'm Joyce Palm, just what
There you go. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Okay, finally, 7G, a letter of support for countywide Act 167 planning effort. Ralph.
Chief contact from the county planning department asking for a letter of support, and we sent the same letter out to all the municipalities in the county. And their goal is to have, I think, 167 planning done on a watershed basis to assist everyone with their stormwater management plan. This was done for some of the watershed a number of years ago, and we did participate in those activities for the watersheds that we were involved in, which was Mill Creek and Conestoga. So I think doing these sorts of things jointly and on a regional basis, watershed basis, makes a lot of sense. We'd have to dedicate some limited amount of staff time to participate in the effort, but no other funding is being required. So I recommend passing the letter.
Are you hearing other municipalities within the LIMC, all also looking at this as well too.
Sounds like everybody's joining in.
Excellent. I was just talking about that over the weekend with somebody, so. Okay, you want a motion?
Yes.
Get to a motion?
Motion for East Lamphere Township to support the watershed-based storm management plan update, Act 167.
Okay, motion by Roger to support staff and its efforts to do this and to provide some staff time and send a letter of support, and then second by. Okay, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. Action items 8A, resolution of reference for a budget modification for tractor purchase.
Supply chain issues got us. We need to adjust the budget accordingly to make it all work. We had it in the budget as a purchase in 22. We expected it to happen in 22. It arrived, so we got have it. So we should have adjusted the budget.
Motion.
Motion to approve the resolution, where is this one? Regarding the budget modification for tractor purchase.
Those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 9, manager's report.
Community survey. I'm going to let Tara share more information.
So last month, we didn't have a whole lot to share with you. This month, after sharing it with the HOA representatives and with HI to get out to both their and residents, we're at 300 responses. So we went from, I think, 82
Awesome.
to 300. So it will still go out in the newsletter with a QR code. It's also going to go out at some point through the school's weekly newsletter as well. Hoping to get more. I'm not sharing what people are saying.
Drum roll. All responses, better picture. So, yeah, that's going well. Wow.
Pat, you want me to move into that?
Please do.
Yep. So, staff had a pre-construction meeting with the contractor that was low bid on this project last week.
It was.
And they're going to be getting started soon. So you'll see if you go down through the campus there, you'll start to see activity there. It'll probably take about 6 weeks or so for the bank improvements to happen. And then the riparian plantings that'll go along with that will happen in the fall when it's more appropriate to plant those kinds of materials. And that project will be done. It's going to be a really nice project.
It will be a great project amounting to 248,745 pounds of sediment reduction, which is a huge amount. So it's 2,100 linear feet of stream bank restoration through there.
Where is all that sediment coming from? Is it grass up to it now? I've not.
It's actually steeper banks in there. It's cut down. And this project does more than just get us MS4 credits. It's actually, we're moving the stream away from the existing sewer line there. So we're helping to keep the sewer line maintained and in good condition by moving the creek back to where it should be in a meandering form through that property.
Named tributary to the Conestoga.
Named tributary.
Why we gotta get these named? Corey Meyer Brook.
What happens with the sediment after it's?
So don't think of it really as sediment gets taken out. So think of it as
Going in.
bank,
Yeah, just move.
the loaded area where it flows, right? And then the banks are tapered back to allow the floodplain area to be more expansive than it currently is. And then you put the native plants in there to further pull the water down under into the groundwater versus just it flowing through and cutting more of the sediment away and down into the bay.
better the water is.
The floodplain itself, which happened, yeah.
It will
I think
be,
it's fascinating. It's
will
just,
be much wider than you see now.
you know, work around your shell.
Yeah, the contractor said it is going to look like a bomb went off on that stream bank over the next, 4 weeks, but
So this is on Hack's campus.
it is.
So is there an effort, is there a biology class, a water conservation class that's getting their students involved and
Not at this point.
not during the bombing?
No, in fact, we need to get all of the heavy equipment off of the property before August 25th because classes start August 28th. So all heavy equipment has to be vacated from the
Is the equipment on there
The
now?
equipment actually was beginning to be delivered last Friday and today.
It is a construction site.
Yeah,
so-
yeah, not dangerous.
Understand what it. But this would be an interesting opportunity for them to
Field trip.
like document what's happening.
It's a bridge you can drive over
Yes,
and stay out of construction.
Okay.
they are gonna photo document
They are.
the project.
The contractor, which is whom?
Green Tree Industries out of Maryland.
So the photo docs will be on our website to view.
Eventually, yes.
Okay.
Sounds like a great plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good project.
For the bridge, you're gonna see Mike standing there. All right.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, man, 2 seconds. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you.